Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. And thank you for joining us. Hi, Tommy. Hi,
Hey,
Indu. How are you?
it's going down.
Just adjusting my volume a little bit here. Um, so it's Labor Day weekend, and I'm happy to have anyone join us today on this Sunday afternoon. People are doing things, so it's nice to see our friends, our loyal ones here. We see iWatch. I see hello to Maureen. I say hello to Bambi. I say hello to Gerard, who is, what's he saying? Napping?
Taking a nap.
Arlene, of course, is here. Good to see you. Anyone else that I missed here? Let's see. El Toro is in the house. Big Bones is here. Good to see you guys, as always. As we continue is this our fifth? This might be our fifth episode.
Yeah, 5, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Patty Daly, how are you? So I just want to, before we get started, I just want to explain once again what we're doing. We are taking the movie scene by scene, and we are following the movie progression of things as opposed to the book. I'm adding in a lot about the book here and there, but the scene order is a little bit different in the book at times. So we're just following what you see in the movie. So, and then we're adding in a little bit of commentary here and there. So just so you know what we're doing. Now, today's show, where we left off last time, it was where did we leave off? It was the horse's head, right? That was where we left off last. And we're going back. We're going to pick up.
Yeah, that's where we were. Right?
Yeah, we're going to pick up 3 months later in the storyline because that's when it happens. It's not really that clear in the movie, but there's a 3 months period of time there between when. Oh, I'm sorry, the Salazzo, not the horse's head.
Salazzo meeting. Yeah, Salazzo meeting.
Salazzo.
Right. I was just going to say it. I didn't want to interrupt you, but
it
was Salazzo meeting.
Yeah, so it was the Salazzo meeting. So 3 months passes from when the Don turns Mr. Salazzo down, and a lot of things happen in that time period that we don't know about. And I'll start off by telling you a little bit about that. What happens in that time period? Because the next scene from that is when Mike and Kay are Christmas shopping. So that's the scene you pick up in the movie. But what you don't see is after that meeting, the Godfather, you do see the Godfather ask for Luca Brasi. And what he does is he gives him an assignment. He gives Luca an assignment to attempt to infiltrate the Tattaglia family and keep an eye on Salazzo. Now, in the movie, you get the impression that it happens overnight, right? He just goes there and then he ends up getting killed. But it doesn't happen that way in the book. What he does is he does this over months of time. He does it by shacking up with one of the prostitutes that works for the Tattaglia family, and he ingratiates himself with her, and then pillow talk with her. He says how he's unhappy with the Corleone family, blah blah blah, and she becomes the envoy between him, Bruno d'Italia, and Salazzo. She communicates the things back to them, and that's how he ends up getting a meeting with them. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, but I just wanted to give you that context, how we got to where we are. It doesn't happen as quickly as you think it does from the movies. So the scene opens up with Christmas shopping, and there's 2 things happen first, right? We see Kay and Kay Adams and Michael are out Christmas shopping. And then you also see Tom Hagen is out Christmas shopping also. Yeah. And this is when, now there's 2 things happening here. Once is the buildup of the relationship between Michael and Kay. Let's talk about that first. To show you, Michael is still really into Kay is really his exit to another world, an exit to the American world, so to speak, because the Godfather calls her your American girlfriend. So Kay is his exit to the American world and the college world and all this stuff. So at this point, he's shopping with her, and you see the back and forth between the two of them, and you show that the purpose here is to show that he's really in love with her, and that's where his mindset still is. There hasn't been that change that we're going to see yet. He is still solidly thinking he's done with the lifestyle. Like he doesn't want anything a part of his family's lifestyle at this point. He still wears his military uniform. It's December of 1945. He just got discharged. The war's over, and he's looking to continue his college career with Kay. And that's where she is. So what do you think about that? What do you think about that whole interaction between the two of them?
It's interesting. I can tell you that. It's very interesting. He was just trying to stay on that straight and narrow path, and picked up that newspaper, and something changed. That's the start of the change, right? That's obviously the start of what's to come. And then as far as Luca, that's really interesting. So he went through the ladies to get to the men.
Right.
A weakness through the ladies.
Right.
Because they're blabbermouths, these girls. These obviously the Boutons especially, and mob girls are just loudmouths. So wow, that's really interesting.
Right.
Right.
Well, all through. Go ahead, Tidu.
No, as soon as she seen that front page, that was it. When they were walking.
Yeah. The whole and throughout history, prostitutes have always been used for spies, so to speak. And this is just another example of that. Like she's with him. She's with Luca because her boss wants her to be with Luca, in the sense that they want to keep an eye on him, just like he wants to infiltrate the family. He's not going to just go up and say to oh, I want a meeting with Bruno, because Bruno's going to say, what? Well, this makes no sense. Makes no sense, right? Something's fishy, right?
Well, you're not even going to do that. They know that was forbidden. You're not going to get Luca Brasi and old man Tatalia,
Yeah.
Right.
You wouldn't expect the old man just to walk it, the old man wouldn't expect him to walk in there.
Exactly.
That's committing treason right off the bat. And that's
right. So this was a 3-month process in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that you think about it, and you take the scene we're analyzing, and you move, put into it what you just said about the book, it makes sense. I mean, it's just wow. It
Now
just
think
comes together
about
because wow.
Go back in your head, everybody. Go back to the scene of when they show Luca Brasi getting ready. Look at the apartment he was in. Look at the way he was getting ready, like he just got done taking care of business. He put his bulletproof vest on. He was at his, gumadres, getting all dressed up. I know, you got to feel that a little bit. I know it's hard, everybody, but that's exactly where he was. If you go back to that scene and look at that apartment, that ain't a bachelor's apartment. Think about it. That ain't a hitman's apartment.
Right. Wow. Good observation, Tindu. Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
That's a good way. That's good. Yeah.
Now go back there and see what's on the walls. Go back there and see the way that apartment was.
All the details, right?
So tranquil, and he was so relaxed, getting ready, like nothing in the world's gonna stop me for this.
Right. And what you learned from the book is that when you see him putting on the vest and all that stuff, what he's doing is he's coming back. What happens first is he gets approached. He gets approached by Bruno, not the old man, the son. He gets approached by Bruno in one of their taverns or one of their establishments with the girl, and he says, someone wants to talk to you. And he says, well, okay, I'll talk to them. Who is it? Well, I can't tell you now. You have to come back at 4 a.m. when we're closed. So what happens is he goes back to the apartment, puts on all his stuff, gets his stuff ready, and then he goes back to the tavern or the restaurant at 4 o'clock in the morning to meet Sollozzo and Bruno and his demise, so to speak.
His demise.
So you got to remember, in them days, but they don't realize it. In them days, those kind of hitmen, enforcers, they didn't need to get drunk. They didn't need drugs. They didn't need nothing. A good dinner. or a night at the Comadres, and they go do what they got to do. You
Mhm.
never seen any of them guys under 50, 60 years old, because back then only the old men could do it secretly, silently,
Right.
and do the right thing. They didn't need any drugs, alcohol, or no momentum to bring them to do that.
Right.
You know,
So the hit on Vito is happening all at the same time. This is all
No, Luca happens first. Luca's death happens before the hit.
because he
Luca-
calls him in. He wants to feel him
Yes.
out.
right?
Yes.
So
Mhm.
then,
Right.
okay, so that leads up to the next. Okay.
Yeah, because if you think about it, D'Italia and Sollozzo couldn't take the risk of the hit on Vito if Luca was still alive. They had to take
Sure.
Luca out. They had to do that
Yeah.
first. Now,
Oh,
Tindo,
man,
you
that's-
you hit on something I think is important too about not drinking. You notice when he goes to meet Bruno, he says, "Io non bev," or no, I don't drink. He says, "I don't drink." He says that right there.
No,
When
yeah, he
they
said,
offer
no
him a drink.
umbriaga,
I don't drink.
No umbriaga.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
No umbriaga, he said.
Yep.
Yep. Those guys didn't. These people have no clue. I mean, those guys didn't do nothing off course when they were doing business. It was strictly business.
Yeah.
It was frowned upon,
You
actually.
know,
It was actually
Right.
frowned
Yeah, it was
upon
frowned
by
on.
the upper echelon. Yes.
Yeah.
They wanted a stable
Yep.
individual to be in those because there's a weakness when you have a vice. So typically those
Right.
guys had no
Yep.
vices. They were typically straight up,
No.
not drinkers, not even camp. They were just they had a job. That's what their job was, and that was
Right.
it.
It's a profession. They were professional.
And that's why Luca went in our last scene, went to the opening scene where he went into the Don because he thought he was just considered a hitter. That's
Mhm.
why he was so
Right.
humbled to be invited.
That's it.
Yeah.
So that goes by what Dindu says, and it all comes together because he's like, I'm just a guy that cracks people. But
Right.
the way
That's it.
Dindu, the way we're saying it right now is that
Mhm.
high level of importance and stability in the brain is key. So these guys were.
Yeah.
This all comes
These guys
together.
were
This is beautiful.
echelon.
Yeah.
These guys were echelon. These were the guys he had around them. That he
Beautiful.
gave the order, people disappeared. He gave
That's
the
it.
order, he was protected. They didn't ask questions. Who, what, e. You know,
Right.
that's it. Like
Right.
that's the way
But
they were.
he undermined his value as far as the compassion level goes. He thought he was just the leg breaker,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's it. He was just an enforcer, right?
but he wasn't. Well, he may have been, but Don Corleone felt him more.
Right.
Really
What I
cared
mean
about
by
him.
that-
Obviously,
Okay, I didn't mean just
Yeah.
an enforcer is a high echelon of the bosses.
yeah.
We all know that.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Mhm.
God, yeah.
you know, when I say he
Go-to
was
guy,
just
yeah.
an enforcer, that's what the enforcer is thinking at the time.
Right.
You know,
Right,
he's
right,
not
right.
thinking he's a high maintenance guy with them. You know,
Yeah.
they
Right.
don't think that way. They don't think that way.
Yeah.
We lost.
Yeah.
We lost.
No,
there
I'm
you
here.
go.
I'm
Okay.
here. I'm here. I'm muting so
Um,
you don't hear things in the background. I got
No,
that.
that's fine. No, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. So
Yeah.
now here's an interesting fact about Luke. I wanted to just share real quickly. In the book, it says that his permanent home is an apartment. It's a couple of rooms, and it's attached to a family who he is a distant relative of. And the reason that is because it exposes him to some family life. He has no family of his own.
Yeah.
And it's in a place where no one would ever think to find him. No one would ever think to find him there. So he basically
Oh, my
rents out
God.
rooms from a distant relative, and partakes on Sunday dinner with them and what's going on with them, but pays them rent. So there's still that arm's length thing. He's not living there for free, and no one's ever going to think to look for him there. So that's why he can vanish. He could disappear without anybody knowing, because no one knows this.
What did I just say? His
Exactly.
atmosphere is always comfortable, family-like.
Really interesting.
There you go. There you go. No matter where he is, like you said, he's in a
Yeah.
place where he could just walk out and
Walk
no
out.
one will say he was there.
That's it.
You'll never
That's
know
it.
he was there.
Mhm. Exactly.
He really would. He went to the mattresses 24/7, not just when there was a war. He lived it every single moment of every single day.
He played it. He played it.
Right.
Wow.
Yup. That's what he was there for. He played that
His
part
job.
perfect.
That was his job. Yes, you're right.
Yup.
All right.
You know, it's
Great.
the same thing. You know what? It's the same thing as going out with your friends, doing this with them. You know what? When they bring you somewhere, you know you're only there for one reason.
Mhm.
Okay. You know, he didn't bring you there for the good time. You know, he brought you there to be his muscle, and that is it.
Right. Right.
You stand there, you're the muscle, that's it. You don't
true.
get in on
It's
the
true.
excitement.
It's true.
That's it. So,
Now, and this is also an interesting. I don't know. It's just an anecdote, but in the movie we see Sollozzo when they're killing Luca. We see Sollozzo take his knife and put it through his hand to
oh yeah.
pin him to the. That doesn't happen in the book. Um, they just basically hold his hand down. So I guess that was just a cinematic way to be more dramatic, and it also puts forward the whole reputation of Sollozzo with the knife. Right. That was
Oh, yes,
really
right.
that's why they did that. To show
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, Anthony.
Wow, they pulled it all together.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. You know, that knife, okay, first of all, if he just
He was-
held down his hand, that would have been so boring. When that
Mhm.
knife entered his hand, it scared the shit out of
Oh
everyone.
yeah, it's
Everybody.
like everyone
Oh,
goes.
it
Everyone
made
goes,
you
oh my
sick.
god.
It made you sick.
Yeah.
Oh my God, look at what he did to him. So that was
Mhm.
perfect for the movie.
Yeah, it came down like a guillotine into his hand, man. Wow, it was
Mhm.
crazy.
Never seen it coming, you know?
Never.
seen
Right.
it coming.
All right, so let's go to the actual the scene where Vito was going to be hit. Um, excuse me for a second.
Take your time.
Do your thing.
Um,
We're in no rush here.
okay. So now hold on a second. Now this is very important. This scene is obviously very important because it's a hit, but also there's so many things going on in this scene that I relate to, and I'm sure you guys relate to as well. So it starts off with Vito is done for the day. He's in his office, and we talked about his office before, Thindu, how it has that wood union, like the old union
Yep.
buildings, the wood feel to it. Like that's Genco.
Yeah.
He's in Genco Oil Company. He's in the Genco Oil office. That's where he is, and he asks for the car to come. Well, the car, Paulie's not there. Paulie Gatto is his driver, but he is not there. So he says, Fredo, get Paulie, tell Paulie to get the car. Well, Fredo says, no, he's not here. I'm sorry, he's out, but I don't mind. He's a good kid. I'll go get the car. He doesn't care. Right?
Okay.
So the Godfather's really not thinking, right? He's not really not thinking about much there. Okay, all right. Fredo's going to go get the car. Puts his coat on, and he goes outside. Fredo's sitting on the in the book, Fredo was sitting on the outside of the car when, like, on the hood or like on the fin or whatever of the car, the wheel well of the car, like leaning against the wheel well of the car. And the Godfather looks out and sees that the car's there and sees that Fredo's there before he even goes anywhere. He makes sure that it's there in front of the house, in front of the building. He comes down, and then he sees nothing unusual happening, so he feels comfortable. So what does he do? He decides, I'm going to get some fruit. That's my weakness. And they describe it as his weakness, the winter fruits, because it's winter, right? But the Florida oranges and peaches, he loves those, right? Again, remember, oranges.
Oranges.
There's a whole host of oranges here.
Oranges,
in the scene. Now hold on. Let me see. Let me see if I can bring this up real quick.
I'll point out a good point during that hit too in a second. I got a good point for you guys.
All right, where is this? Let's see. Here we go. And it's kind of small, but as you can see, here's the Don to the right of and he's looking down at the fruit and the vendor, and how common of this was. I remember this when I was a kid. When you had the fruit vendors, they would get the fruit for you. You didn't pick out your own fruit. They would get a bag, open up the paper bag, and you'd pick out, and they'd put the fruits in the bag. I remember
Yes.
being there with a little kid. I remember seeing that as a
Yeah.
little kid.
Yep.
True.
Okay. The truck or the horse-drawn wagon would pull up. That vendor would jump right off, pull the curtain. First thing he'd do was swing the scale out, get the paper bags, get you your stuff, weigh it, and sell it.
Right.
Yep. That was all through New York.
So I mean, that whole neighborhood scene there, right? And what's going on in that neighborhood? You're hearing the sounds you hear are like a traditional Italian, old school neighborhood. Somebody's playing the trumpet in the background. Like you hear like the sounds of the different things going on in the neighborhood. A horn blowing, people walking about. It's just like the hustle and bustle of an old school. Let me see. Let me end this here. Second here. There you go. The old school neighborhood. You hear the noises. You hear people's voices. You hear like it's.
Oh yeah.
Hustle and
It's-
bustle.
It's stuff that we grew up with, or at least were around. We were around that in the city environment, and it's a classic
Absolutely.
scene of that.
Absolutely.
All right, so then, as he gets his fruits together, and he begins. Now, before he does pay. We see him pay the vendor. He gives the vendor something,
Yep.
and he turns around. And as soon as he turns around, he sees out of the corner of his eye, he sees the two guys. He sees the two guys with their hats and the coats, and he knows
Walking
instantly.
fast.
He knows instantly what's going on. He knows. He doesn't.
Wow.
It just there's something inherent in him that he knows instantly what's going to happen.
Wow. Yep.
And he turns and makes the run. Right, he turns and tries to make a run for the car, and yells for Fredo. Now he makes it to the car when they start shooting him, and they don't tell you the specifics, I guess, too much in the movie, but he gets hit 2 times in the back, 2 times in the butt, once in the arm, and once in the calf.
Yeah.
So no vital areas.
Waist down. Basically, waist down. They hit him.
Yeah. Yep. It's the lower back, the buttocks, and then one happens to hit his arm, and one hits but it knocks him out. Like the impact of it puts him unconscious. Now, Fredo jumps out of the car at this point, right? And
Fumbles the gun.
he is bumbling, right? And this here, let's see if I can share this right here.
He
Why
fucked
they
their guns
had-
going over.
Why
they
they
couldn't
had
hold
to
the gun.
put that part in there is besides me.
They had to show him as a dummy. That's why they had to. They were
Yeah, I mean,
leading
I-
up to his demise. Yeah.
Hold on, let me turn
I
it again.
know.
Yeah, that didn't work. Let me
Thanks
try
for
that again.
explaining, Stiggs. No, just the one part you would love deleted from that movie is that one. Okay?
Yeah.
Oh, fumbling the gun. Look at him. Look at
can't
him.
believe
Oh, I can't even watch
Oh
that.
my God. Oh, look at that. I'm replay. It's crazy. Oh my God.
Replay it. These guys.
That's a gift. That's a gif that I found on the internet.
Wow.
Cool. Yeah.
What a find that is. Wow. That's great.
Yeah. So
Too much.
now in the book though, Fredo is not that bumbling. He actually doesn't even get to pull out his gun in the book in time. And what happens is he goes into shock. Basically, he goes into a complete shock to the point
You should.
that
Okay.
bystanders have to come and help him to sit down in the curb. Like he's like frozen in complete shock.
Screaming, Papa.
Yeah, and screaming
Yeah.
Papa. Right. Right.
He wasn't built. He
Are you
wasn't
real?
built for that. Right.
Right.
No. He was a juiced. Are you kidding me?
Right. And
Yeah.
they also say a little bit in the book about how the Godfather's opinion of Fredo and how he didn't have the temperament for the life, although he knew he had to take care of him. He knew he had to bring him in. He didn't have the temperament, that he was too soft for the life. But that he had a good heart, and that he, and the one thing that's different from the movie, from the book, is that they said he was physically the biggest and the strongest of the brothers, but you don't see that obviously in the actor they chose. But that didn't matter really because it was all about his intellect, and not so his intellect in terms of smartness. And they added that into the movie too to show him like to be kind of a dummy, but the book doesn't do that. It's more so like his ability, his emotional ability to deal with the life. That's what it was all about. That kind of kept Fredo out of it. Or kept him on the back burner, so to speak. And we see it here.
Wow.
We see it here in this situation. We see it how he can't handle the situation. And you now
So basically, only
that.
Sonny was his guy.
Yeah, you contrast that with Sonny, right? Now, how does Sonny get the news of what's going on here? Do you remember how he gets the news?
The phone call. Yeah.
Phone call.
The phone, right?
Phone call.
We got your dad. We got
Right.
We got the Don. He said we got
Now,
well, no. He said that.
No.
They said that to Tom. They said that to Tom.
They said it to Tom because, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I just want to talk about this because of the contrast
Yeah.
and how he handles
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
But and they don't show you this in the movie, but in the book, he gets a call from a police detective that's on the payroll. The police detective that's on the payroll that calls him and says, "This is," and there's actually a deleted scene that shows this, and I don't know why they didn't use it in the movie. They should have. There's a police detective that calls him. I think his name is John Phillips, Detective John Phillips, and he calls and says, you know my voice? Do you recognize my voice? So like they don't he doesn't identify himself. Do you recognize my voice? And Sonny says, yes, I do. Your father was just hit. He's not dead. I don't think he's going to die. So like this was someone who was a detective, the first detective on the scene who they pay, who's on the payroll.
Right.
So Sonny gets a good intelligence that he's not dead. Number one, he's not dead. And that he'll probably survive, but it's all about the first thing out of his mouth, Sonny's mouth is he dead? And it's like a cold, is he dead? Is he dead? It wasn't any type of emotional response at first. It's just, is he dead? Because it's business. It's it's the life. It's expected. This could happen, right? That's what that's all about. And then there's like 3 phone calls he gets, I think. That's one of the calls he gets. Now, in the movie, we see Clemenza come to the house. In the book, it's a call from Clemenza. And then there's a third call from the Daily News looking for a comment. And he hangs up the phone. He hangs up the phone on them.
Which was it? He wrote something on the cabinet. Was that the same?
That's when Sollozzo calls him.
Sollozzo called him.
Yeah. Yes. So, and that does happen in the book. Sollozzo calls him and says, "We have Tom Hagen. We're going to release him with the proposition."
I went too far ahead. Okay.
Yeah. But
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Stop rushing the show, Stig.
Wow. It's easy to do that. It's so easy
the phone
to
call.
do that.
The phone call.
Yeah,
I got the phone call in my brain. Yeah.
And it's so easy to do that because we know the movie so well. We know it so well. It's so easy to do that. But he and I think what's interesting about this, and he says to the police officer, "You got $5,000 coming to you." Like he's going to give him $5,000 for this. So that's how Sonny gets the news. Now, at the same time, it's after the hit, right? It's after the hit or simultaneous with the hit when Tom Hagen gets picked up by Sollozzo and a couple of guys, because obviously Sollozzo's not going to do the hit himself. Neither are the Italians. It's going to be hired men that are going to do it. So at the same time, they pick up Tom Hagen, and we saw what happens there. Don't be afraid. I know you're not in the muscle side of the business, the muscle side of the family. I got to talk to you. Come with me. So he gets in, and they take him. Now, in the book, they take him to a basement. In the movie, they take him to I don't know. It's like an old diner type of thing where they're selling Christmas trees right next door. If you remember, like that's where and it's snow is falling and they're selling Christmas trees right next door. And that reminded me so much of Bloomfield Avenue in Tommy and Bloomfield Avenue in Newark, where they would have the Christmas trees on the next to like a building and the what do you call it? Like the drum with the fire burning in the drum, like the garbage can, fire burning. And that's the scene that they bring him to talk to him.
Wow.
So it's there. They tell him your boss is dead. Now, in the movie, we see you see Robert Duvall react. You could tell he's upset. But in the book, it describes him as bawling, like, really crying because when he gets the news from
Really?
Sollozzo, because of the
Wow.
connection that he developed with and I'm as much of a son to you as Mike. I mean, in Tom Hagen's words, I was much of a son to him as you or Mike. So he sees him as his father. So when he gets the news,
Right.
it's this huge emotional response that comes out, and it surprises Sollozzo. This is what interests me about the book part. Is Sollozzo taken aback by that because he thinks that Hagen is just, it's all business for Hagen. Hagen's the consigliere. It's just going to deliver it. So it kind of shocks him a little bit, right? So
Yeah, he doesn't understand the personal.
yeah, he doesn't understand the connection. And that's when he starts to try to convince Tom Hagen to deliver the deal, and not only deliver the deal, but convince Sonny to go along with the deal. Right? That's the whole purpose of getting Tom Hagen. Tom Hagen is the consigliere at this point. If Sollozzo can convince the consigliere, the advice giver, to give the advice he wants, then this will kind of it'll get pulled whenever.
It'll happen.
It'll happen, right?
That was the trick. That was the trick to get Tom Hagen to sell it to Sonny. That was the whole thing the whole time with the Italians. They knew Sonny was hot for the deal, and they knew if they could get Hagen to sell that, the underboss, why the old man was down and all that, that would have been huge for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
You had two pieces of the puzzle without the old man.
Yeah, he's almost there.
You could put it together immediately,
Yeah.
So, and that kind of answers our question as if Sonny was the underboss or not. He was.
Yeah.
He was, because that street knew if he sold that to, Sonny, Hagen did, Sonny had the call of the family there. So
yeah, you're right.
Because you're right all the way. Yep.
Yeah, that pulls it together. That does make sense because it's just because he was right behind him. He opened his mouth during the meeting, and Sollozzo saw I could get him. Yeah.
And he says,
right.
And he says it
would
too.
Have been made.
Right. Sollozzo says it too. Sonny was hot for my deal, and you knew it was the right thing to do. That's what he says. You knew it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And now a couple other things he says too, though, that demonstrate how far he was committed to convincing Tom Hagen. Number one, he tries to guilt him into this, and how he does it, he says, the Don is slipping, right? He says that the Don is slipping, but in the book he says the other 5 families, the remaining 4 families don't trust him anymore, and it's because of you, because he chose a non-Italian as a consigliere. So this is kind of your fault that this happened. This is kind of your fault, and you got to step in to save the family because you put us in this situation. You put your family in this situation by getting into that position. Yeah.
What? That's crazy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it's all that. I mean, you could look at that from different avenues.
So many different. You're right. And there's so many different. Oh my God.
You know what?
And later in the movie, it's crazy.
We're doing this now, and last week Sunday, it didn't take everything I had, but because it was you guys, we did this so many times. Donnie, my DB, my boy, and my father and me, we used to do this and watch the movie. Nothing better to do. Put the Godfather and let's break it down. Let's see. Yeah. And then we watch the whole movie and talk. When you're not supposed to talk during a movie? Well, we would talk, and break the movie down.
Sure.
What do you think he was thinking? Right. What do you think he did? That's why I have so much knowledge to this too. We used to do this 20, 30 years ago out of boredom, just hanging out together.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, this is great stuff. It's actually great stuff.
Wow.
He also says he also gives him this. He gives him some ammunition, so to speak, to go back to Sonny with. He says, tell him Fredo could have been killed too, But I gave specific orders that Fredo was not to be killed because I only wanted to kill the Don because I knew it had to be done from a business perspective. I don't want to harm the family. I don't want to harm the family, so to speak. This was purely a business move. Fredo, if I wanted to harm him, Fredo would have been dead too. He was right there. So he's also trying to build himself up as not the total bad guy here, so he could sell that to Sonny a bit.
He's not animal. It's just business.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Wow.
Right. Let me get off this avatar, sorry, guys.
That's
No,
great.
it's fine.
That is great.
It's fine. All right. So when Sonny gets the call, let's go back to that. Sonny gets the call. Sonny immediately is concerned about who is the traitor. He knows there has to be a traitor, right? He knows that's the first thing he says. Who in our family is the traitor? Is it Clemenza or is it Paulie? Those are the two options at this point. It had to be one of them. It could have been Clemenza because he's the lead of that group, that part of the family, or it could have been Paulie on his own. And Paulie, we know it turns out to be Paulie, but
So
how
Clemenza
does he
was the
find
captain
out?
of that crew.
Yeah. So how does he find out it's Paulie though? Here's the and there's a deleted scene that they should have kept in again. Another scene they should have kept in. And this is how he finds out for sure that Paulie is the traitor, because there is an individual on the family's payroll by the name of Farrell who works for AT&T, Farrell or Farrow or something. He works for AT&T, he works for the company, he works for the telephone company, and he traces the calls from Paulie's house or from the booth outside to Paulie's house. So he has proof that Paulie made calls, and calls went back and forth from the phone booth outside the office to Paulie's house while this is going on. So Paulie was communicating to these guys what time things were going to happen and when he wasn't going to be there, how the Don comes down, all this crazy stuff. So that's how Sonny knows for sure that it's Paulie that's the traitor. And I don't know why they didn't include that.
Another thing. Sorry, go ahead, Anthony.
Go ahead.
And another thing that's only in the movies. See, we did the book, me and ALV.
Yeah.
In the movie, the one thing that ran right by everybody, but hit who knew better in the movie, it was Paulie's cold. Didn't you hear Clemenza? Paulie's still sick with that cold. And Sonny go, I don't give a fuck if he has, he's done.
If he's breathing, bring him here. Yeah.
I don't care what he is. But he ran that sick cold on them a couple too many times. So when he called in that day saying he was sick and the Godfather got hit, that was it.
Right.
You could vibe it off them guys. Paulie was sick most of the time. And then the final straw was when he called in sick and the Godfather got whacked. That's why Sonny said, I don't care if he's not breathing, bring him to me, whatever he said.
Wow. Yeah. Yep.
They knew he wasn't there. Okay, the first thing, he wasn't there that day. Right there, that tells you something. That brings up the red flag. Oh, Paulie wasn't there, so he was sick. Oh, he was sick again. All that's just little shots during the movie. If you don't pick that up, you don't know too much about the streets or anything. But it's all little vibes like that in the movie they give you, that you have to catch.
And the fact that it's Paulie is also kind of a strike to the Corleones too, because they really, in the book, you don't see this in the movie, but in the book, they were really counting on Paulie to be an up and comer in the family. Like they really trust him and support him, and pay him well. They pay him very well. He's an up and comer, and for someone like that to turn is a major shock to them, to the family.
He's their future. Yeah.
Right. And Sonny says, and Sonny, go ahead, Dino. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, like Arlene hit it on the head. You couldn't expect Fredo in any part in that movie to have a simple head, normal. Everything he did was half-assed, totally backwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all he really had was Sonny. All he really had was Sonny as the family bloodline right there.
Mm-hmm.
Clemenza as a
Right.
captain of that crew, and Paulie to eventually maybe take Clemenza's spot if it ever got to
Right.
that. So that's what they were banking on. They were hoping on that.
Yes.
And then it must have like a huge disappointment, but yeah,
That's
what
the
it turned
life,
out to
right?
be.
That's the part of that's
Alive.
your friends, your enemies come to you as friends, right? That's
Yeah.
what happens.
Absolutely,
They're-
100%.
They find that so hard to believe.
So
Mhm.
true.
But guess what? That's what happens. That's what happens in this part of this organization. It's not strangers. It's not your enemy. It's your best friends. You
Mhm.
already know that.
Yep.
I can
Like
tell you that
anything
for sure.
else, people act so surprised.
I can tell you
The only
firsthand.
people
Yeah.
that get near you.
So the
That's it.
yeah, and Sonny says, and there's another part too where Sonny says he calls Tessio, and he says to Tessio, "I don't want to use any of Clemenza's people. I need you to go get 50 guys, bring them to the mall. They call the mall where they live. That's what they call it, the mall where the house where the Don is.
Mall.
I need you to go find 50 guys and take them here." So and Tessio says, "Well, what about Clemenza? That's his territory." No, I'm not using Clemenza's guys because at that point he wasn't sure for sure, who he could trust, who he couldn't.
Yeah.
If Paulie went bad, who else is bad in part of that crew? You know what I mean? It's a significant risk at this point. He needs to.
Right.
So Sonny, in all his emotional rage, is still an intelligent person that knows about how the game is played. I mean, he's learned from The Godfather. He's learned about how things go, and he's not going crazy yet. He does, but he hasn't gotten crazy yet. He's making smart decisions at this point because the family is under attack. He needs to make sure he protects it.
I'm pressing the duck. Hang on. Okay.
The duck.
So wait, who made that
I
decision?
go right behind you. Look.
Who made that decision? That was
Sonny.
Sonny making that call? Yeah.
Sonny makes the call that it's Tessio's guys, not Clemenza, because he
right.
doesn't trust
Right.
them. Yeah. Yeah.
Tessio's guys are more experienced. They wouldn't
Yeah.
leave a mess, basically.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
because they always held Tessio higher than Clemenza. Like
That's
Clemenza
true.
was one step below. Yeah.
That's true. They do.
Clemenza was
They
always
show
a
that
step
in the.
below.
They show that. They say that in the book, and I think the reason behind that is that Tessio was had less vices than Clemenza. Tessio was to your
He's
point,
smarter.
Tommy. He was a cleaner. He was a cleaner guy. Like he would live his life cleaner, and he was calmer. He wasn't as emotional as Clemenza. Whereas Clemenza had
was
love
more
for the
like
family.
Luca Brasi.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Clemenza had love for the family,
Clemenza
obviously.
was married.
Yeah.
He had a family, but he
Mhm.
was more like Luca Brasi. Just send Clemenza. Clemenza was more of a killer than Tessio.
Yeah.
He
Right.
always was.
Right.
He always
And they
was through the whole history.
And they have
Clemenza was the
different
killer there.
Well,
different territories, right?
And they do show that.
Right.
They do show
Yeah.
what type of guy Clemenza is when he's strapping up the guys and getting things
Mhm.
ready, and he's that muscle. So
Oh.
he's the muscle aspect
He
of
would
it.
have shot the cop. They were robbing a rug. He would have shot the cop in the
Oh,
head.
yeah, we're
The
going
cop
back
would've
to
went.
to the
Shows
Godfather 2.
Oh,
Clemenza.
right.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's
Yep.
Clemenza's mentality.
Yes.
It's
You know,
true.
he'll take
It's
anybody
true.
out.
It's true.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So he wanted a thinker. So
Yeah.
not a
Whoever
cowboy, so to speak.
Clemenza wanted,
Right.
he's going to get.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So, my kind of guy. Clemenza.
Absolutely.
And then also when Michael comes back, when Michael comes to the house, right? Michael eventually comes to the house, and he sees this is the turning point in Michael. You see him get angry with Sonny when Sonny wants to keep him out, and it's more so in the book. It's more of an emotional response on Michael's part that Sonny wants to keep him out of things. Like he's angry, like it's my father. I have a right to help. I have a right to help you and deal with this situation. So this is when that character is changing dramatically, and it's it's subtly done, but it's changing dramatically. This is the beginning of the ultimate change that happens with, when we know when he kills Sollozzo. That's when it's fully complete. So it's a change that doesn't happen overnight. It's a change that takes a while as he goes through this experience, right? He goes through this whole experience of his father getting shot. He wanted away from the family, but this is bringing him back to the family. Now, the other thing I'd say about this point is, the whole Fredo part of this in the book, they say Fredo is being sedated. Is being sedated because he's in such shock. He's sedated in a room in the house. A doctor had come to sedate him because he's in such shock. So, I mean, that just demonstrates how screwed up he was from that experience of seeing his father gunned down.
How soft he is all together.
Yep.
Some people sit here and say, well, if your father was shot in front of you, you'd be like, no. No, sorry, no. First of all, my father wouldn't have got shot in a predicament like that.
Right. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, too funny.
And then you have Tom Hagen coming. Tom Hagen eventually gets released, and before Tom Hagen gets released, Sollozzo gets the news that the Don is not dead, and what does he say? He says, "It's bad luck for me, and bad luck for you if you don't make the deal." Right. So, at that point, everything, the plan is shot. At that point, the plan is shot. The fact that the Don did not die. It completely destroys the plan. The plan is, and that to me is the weakness of this. That's the weakness of Sollozzo for being such a smart and such a wily, they describe him as the wily Turk. He's supposed to be so sly, and why, he didn't think the whole thing through. He didn't think it through. If the Don doesn't die, he's screwed. He is totally screwed.
Oh yeah.
He didn't think all this through. And you're saying in the book it took 3 months to put this together, and he still didn't get it right. Holy shit!
Right.
Wow, well, you know what? You can't cover all the bases there when you're whacking a Don. Oh my!
You got to get him in the head, man. You got to send a team of 5 or something. You got to make that happen. You can't go half-ass. You got to come in strong. Right.
Right.
Guys,
that would have been the same thing if Castellano didn't die. Could you imagine Marlon?
They had 5, but God, he had 5 guys on that hit, so and backup.
Yeah.
He was going.
Well,
what was going?
We're talking about the movies and then real life, yo.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Of course. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you're right, because he couldn't die. It wouldn't have been. Yeah. Right. So the plot. Right.
I mean, and it also goes to the weakness. Here's the other thing. The reason that the hit fails, I mean, and this is just my opinion, but the hit fails because of the weakness of the Tattaglia family. The Tattaglia family, is pimps. To the Godfathers, that's their main thing is prostitution. They're not a big muscle family. But now all of a sudden they think they are. He's using Tattaglia people to do this. And in the book, they even describe how the 2 hitmen get scared. After they shoot, they get scared and they run. They run in a panic because they didn't, the whole instance shocked them. So they were no expert killers. They were no Luca Brazzis. They were, just 2 guys, I guess, that they decided to just, make your bones by doing this, which is a stupid move. That's a stupid thing to do.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I mean, when you got to put a team together. You put a team together like that, you better make sure they're all thinking the same, eating the same, and doing the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can't have a flaw in that fucking plan. Are you kidding me?
At all costs, he had to go. But obviously, the movie needed him not to go. But at all costs, in reality, he's got to go with that hit. It's got to be done. There's Can't be
Right.
anything coming back from that.
Yeah. So what happens if he dies? What happens if he dies on the if he died on the site there? Right. According to
Yeah.
Tom Hagen, the political power is gone. In other words, the political power is not with the family. The political power is to the Don. It's a direct connection to the Don himself. So the Don dies, the political power is gone. It's gone.
Yeah.
Gone. Yep.
Done.
And when he
Yep.
says, we lose half our strength, I think what he means is we lose Luca Brasi, because Luca Brasi is another one that's loyal only to the Don. He's not loyal to the family. He's the Don. He has this personal
Right.
connection to the Don. Luca Brasi, that's the strength that goes. If he dies, Luca's gone. Luca leaves. Luca doesn't care anymore about the Corleones. He looks for something else. So at that point, they really have no choice but to make the deal. Sonny has no choice but to make the deal at that point. So from that angle, it is a smart move to kill the Don. But to our point, you have to actually do it. You have to actually do it. You can't screw this one up. You can't do it. But they do.
No.
So,
And it turns out to be fatal. So, but
Yeah.
if you relate that scene to Gotti taking out Castellano, it had to be done right, because if that's not done right, 12 of Gotti guys are gone, because they were already
Absolutely.
on the block. They were on the tapes. His
Right.
whole crew was on the. He was going to take out that whole crew, so he could not go half.
The whole
He had to
crew.
come in strong. All of them would have been
He
gone.
came in-
History would have been totally different.
Yeah, I know. Here's a question. I don't know that much about it, so you guys know a lot more than I do.
What?
Was Castellano going to do away with Gotti's crew? Was it that
He
was
wouldn't
going to
show him
happen,
the
right?
tapes.
That
Yes,
was
he
going to
wouldn't
happen.
give-
Yeah.
Angelo had
Yeah.
the tapes. They would not give up the tapes. They were all on it, talking about junk.
Okay.
So
Mm.
Castellano was wanting these tapes. If he got those tapes
Mm-hmm.
and he's out of harm's way and he's in his mansion in Staten Island,
Yeah.
he orders that whole crew gone.
Yeah.
Gone. The whole crew is
Mm-hmm.
eliminated.
It might have been 12 guys
Yep.
that were going to get hit.
Yeah. Wow.
So
Right.
that
But every
happened.
one of them would have got hit.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely
No doubt. Listen
because
to me.
Castellano would have
That-
brought Zipson
okay.
and everything. Yeah,
Yeah. Right. He would have brought
That
people
hit-
from Sicily. He would have brought people from the other side for that. Yeah. Yeah.
it was going to happen.
Well, see,
They
you
were gone.
got to remember, if Castellano lives, that is an unfucking sanctioned hit,
Mhm.
big time.
Right.
Everybody's that Gotti would have been done. That whole crew would have been done. Okay. People look at it, wow, that was amazing. Wow, that was, you know what? That was just a normal street guy planned a beautiful hit. Easy as 1, 2, 3. He had the muscle, he had the guys, he had the loyalty, he had everything going for him.
Mhm.
Other than that, it was a trip to hell if he failed. But
Right.
he had, like Della Croce said, the fist. He had a beautiful fist of guys. They went in there, they did what they had to do, split, perfect timing, everything to a T. I mean, they didn't mess nothing up there.
Mhm.
So, and to get back to one other thing here that was in
Yeah.
the chat, Costello, back in the day when the Chinjigani, that hit, guys, go watch it. Costello was being pushed out so bad that he had no other. You could go up to him and say, Frank, it's me. That's how strong Genovese was at that time. Nobody was going to touch that crew.
Mhm.
And Costello knew it.
No.
Costello had no other choice
100%.
than to run from that.
Mhm.
There was about 100 hitters that would eat them up alive after that. So, but it's all, it's all the way they do it.
Right.
You know when to do it. When you're pushing a guy out like that, you
That had to
do it sarcastically. You do it
That had to happen.
sarcastically.
Yeah.
Right. That just teaches him a lesson. We're sending guys that you know after you. So
Yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah.
they asked,
So they
they
wouldn't-
asked him, hey, Chin, were you scared? Are you kidding me? Scared of what? I even said really? So.
So that had to happen. They had to go half-assed for the movie, obviously, to keep that plot going and to
Right,
match the book, right? Obviously, so or somewhat match the book.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
it's just
it's a
so real
crucial
to
part.
life almost.
Yeah, it's a crucial part to Michael's character development and how he's going to change and become the ultimate, because he ultimately is the main focus of the story. You know, Michael is the main focus of the story, so you have to get him there somehow, and this is the way they get him there. Um, so
Unbelievable.
yeah, no, I mean, and
It's
this is why,
unbelievable.
and this is why this is such a spectacular story and movie. I mean, it's just done. It's done so well. It's so deep. It's done so well. It's well thought out, and it's so complex. It can go in many different directions, and there's so many opinions that can go along with it too. It's. I think it's designed that way on purpose for you to draw your own conclusions on certain things, on why things happen. And that's the value of something like this, and that's why some people think it's the greatest movie ever made because because of these things. It has nothing to do with it being the mob, you know. It has nothing to do
No,
with
it's not.
being at all. Nothing.
The chat is right on. The chat, Paul C. Exactly. Luck played a
Mhm.
part of everything. You got to have a little bit of lady luck to survive. Yup. And
Yep.
then, yeah, guys, 22, 32s, not on. The friggin' knowledge you guys have are scaring me over here.
No, it's real because I say
No,
it all
I
the
know.
time. We're talking on screen, and people are, believe it or not, analyzing what you're doing on screen.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And I'll get a message 2 o'clock in the morning from somebody saying, "You mentioned such and such at 7:22 while you were having coffee. What's your real thought about that?" You cannot imagine, guys, the
I know.
analysis of what we're doing right here.
I
Right.
said that
We're
today to
analyzing
somebody.
something. It's something, man. We're really.
Right.
And Vinny said to me, "Believe it or not, you're like a television show. You are an on-air personality." That's what Vinny said to me. I said, "Vin, why do I get these messages at weird times about 72 minutes into my show about such and such a topic?" He says, "People look at us as on-air personalities, and they're really, if you're holding their attention, paying attention to what you're doing." So the same way we're analyzing this movie, they're analyzing what we're
Right.
analyzing. Amazing.
Right.
Yeah, I said that earlier. They're watching, writing
Yeah,
stuff down, all the good points, all the good questions.
it's unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
They could have come in. Why don't they just come in and ask? They could come in and join us too.
Some people like to rewatch things at their time. You know
Oh,
what I
I
mean? They
know.
take their time, they
Yeah,
pause it. Especially something like this. They'll watch it, they'll pause it, like we
I
do the
know.
movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Right.
know. I know.
Right.
it's true. It's true.
I
They
mean,
do.
and you could see that also in the views, because the views continue throughout the entire week. Like the views will the views will continually climb throughout the week, and it culminates like the day before. Like it'll culminate on Saturday. Like people are still viewing it on Saturday,
Yeah,
and then we
yeah.
do this new one on a Sunday. So it's something that people probably go back to. Oh, I didn't see that episode. Let me go back and look at it. Let me, So it's good stuff. It's good entertaining. It's good entertaining stuff.
Absolutely.
Very true.
Absolutely. And you got three guys that know exactly what they're talking about and more
Oh my
on
god!
here.
Right
It's about
on.
time.
And
Oh
tons
my
of, and I'm looking, and
Lord.
I'm not commenting on a lot of the comments in the chat, but there's just some good comments in the chat.
Yeah,
People have
right
like
in
good,
there.
yeah.
I've been reading them, ALV. I mean,
Mhm.
all the participation's been great in here. This is great.
Mhm.
Wonderful, wonderful.
I mean, yeah, you want some real stuff? Come over. I mean, they're all missing the boat. They don't even know
Hey,
where to go to get the good stuff anyway.
Well, whatever.
I
from
know. Okay, I'll behave. I'll
Yeah.
shut up.
They go where they want to go, Thindu, Let them go where they
I
want to go.
know. Wait till Dean Magadino comes on next week. It's going to be all over with. Be quiet.
Mm.
I'm getting yelled at by both directions now.
Oh boy.
You know what she said? Not if I could help it.
Oh boy.
See, I got a rope over here. They're pulling me this way. Okay.
They're keeping you in check, Thindu.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically that brings us to the Tom Hagen is back, comes back with the proposal. His wife is there. The scene where Clemenzo and the wife are sitting there, and then they're trying to figure out what's happening, right? They try to figure out what the next step is, what the next play is. They know at this point that the Godfather didn't die; he's in the hospital, and that's when the Sicilian message comes, and that's where we're gonna, that's the final part of this. The Sicilian message comes to the house, and it's Luca Brasi's vest that he was wearing, and inside of it is a dead fish. Right. And it's cinematic history right there. Cinematic history. How many times has that been quoted over and over and over and in so many different other movies and so many, it's
the American public never seen nothing like that before that part.
Mm-hmm.
There was a message from hell to the American public. Okay.
Yep.
That's what that was.
Right.
The big guy just got clipped. What are you going to do about that?
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? Oh my God, the muscle, just the big guy. Superman just got clipped over there. What are they going to do now? It brought all that there to the movie, And
then you see Michael hang up the phone because Michael was in the process of calling Luca and he hangs up the phone.
He goes, I called Luca 1,000 times. He's not answering. Yep. And then they opened it up. Michael went like this. Well, I guess I don't need to call there no more.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an overly dramatic type of moment, but it's important. It's important to the whole the mystique of it. It's the message. It's the message that comes. And in the movie, they say Paulie. They show you Paulie, or it says there's a message that doesn't happen in the book.
No.
It's Clemenza. I think it's Clemenza that brings it in the book. He brings it in, the message in. He takes it and brings it in.
And that ain't even an Italian message. That's a Sicilian message.
Well, that's what it says. Yeah, it says Sicilian. Yes, Sicilian message.
Yep, that's a Sicilian message, not an Italian message.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Some heavy stuff there.
Yeah, it is, buddy. Yes, it is. My kind of stuff.
Yep. So that's where we're going to end for today in terms of the scene. Next week we'll pick up with the hospital. That's a massive scene in and of itself there too. But that's what we'll pick up next. And I just want to thank everybody who participated in the chat. It was awesome reading your comments and those that hung out and listened to us. It's great. 22 people are still here. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And we'll continue to do these as long as you want us to do them, right? It's good stuff.
We're going to do it until we got
a little while.
Finish.
So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're going to finish it. Absolutely. We're going to finish this. We are.
So far, 5 weeks consistent. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
We're
going to finish both movies. We're going to finish this and The Godfather 2.
I look forward to this.
Yep.
I look forward to this. Okay?
Yeah, this is excellent.
Great stuff.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining and being
a
part of this. Have a great rest of the weekend, and God bless everyone.
Yes, be good. God bless. Love you guys.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for joining us, guys.
Bye-bye.